What's up guys, my name is Malik and welcome back to the Python training presented by SECARMY. In the previous video we studied about strings. What are strings, how can you use them, how can you declare them, where are they used, and different operations performed on string and error handling in the string. Today we'll be talking about numbers. So in today's topic we'll talk about numbers, what are those two different types of numbers, operations performed on numbers, error handling, and comments. So let's just get started. So what are numbers? Numbers are basically digits that are often used in different programming languages to keep track of the record. Let's say you have created a game and a player has a particular score that he gathered, or I should say performed, or I should say achieved. A score that he achieved, and we have to track the record of the score. We have to store the information of the score, or in easy languages we have to show the score to everyone that are authorized to see. So what we will do is we will often store that score a player has achieved in the form of numbers. Let's say he is playing a shooting game and killing a person, or I should say an enemy in the game, accounts the addition of 100 score in his total score. So 100, which are digits, so the scores will be stored in the form of digits. There are two types of numbers often in programming languages, integers and float. Integers are basically simple numbers that we often use, and integers are basically used to also keep track record of an organization. Let's say there are a huge amount of employees or a huge number of employees in an organization. So integers will be used by allotting them a particular number, which will allow the admin of the organization or the person who is responsible for all the records to maintain the records by just using that particular number. Let's say a person whose number was 5 is resigning from the organization. So the person who is maintaining the record will just remove the person's name from the database by just choosing the number 5. This is how integers work. This is how numbers work. So the second type of number is a float. Float is basically type of integer, but the difference is that float includes decimal places. Now let's just start with an example. So let's just say we have a variable number 1 and we give it a value of 5. Now another variable number 2, will give it a value of, let's say, 3. So these are the two numbers, and you might have seen that I have not used any type of string or punctuation mark to declare the numbers or to store the integers in the variable. Unlike string are declared and stored in variables using different type of punctuation marks like double inverted commas or single inverted commas. Numbers don't work that way. You can just use it or declare it without any kind of punctuation mark or a string mark. Now we have declared two numbers. Let's say we have to find the sum of these numbers. Now what I'll do is create a variable, let's say add. What I will do is assign a formula to it, which will be saying that I have to perform addition of the variables that I just declared, that is number 1 and number 2. Now I'll do is number 1 plus number 2. Now I have created a variable assigning the formula to it. What I will do now is, now I want to print out the answer. So what I will do is print the variable add. Why? Because the already assigned formula is in add and the answer lies within the add variable. So what I will do is print add. Now when I execute it, the answer is 8. So the digits were 5 and 3, which results in the 8 when added. This is how integers work. Now when it comes to float, let's say float will contain decimal digits. So let's say 5.1 and 3.1. Now when we add it, we expect the answer to be 8.2. Let's see when we execute it what happens then. 8.2. This is float. This is often used when there's amount of money included in the database, either money or I should say the scores, or in scores that are often achieved in an examination by a student. Now, different operations performed on numbers. There are 4 basic operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Now let's say I'll just make changes in this only and perform various operations. We have 5 and 3. Now we had just performed the addition operation. Now I'll move forward to, let's say, subtraction. What I will do is simply change the sign, and when I execute it, I'll get the result 2, which is 5 minus 3, 2. Now similarly, when it comes to multiplication, just add the star, or I should say asterisk. Now when I execute this, 5 into 3 is 15, and so is your result. Similarly, divide. Now when I execute it, let's see the answer. Now 5 is not exactly divisible by 3, so the answer is in decimal form, because 5 divided by 3 is always in decimal form. So now let's talk about the operation of squares, or let's say just power to a digit. Now that we have seen that there are a lot of numerical calculations which includes the power of a digit. Let's say 2 raised to power 2 is 4. So how can we do it in Python? What we will do is use the multiplication sign only, just twice. Let me show you. Let's say we have a variable power, and what I will do is assign a value to it, let's say 2. Now I want to give it a cubic power, which means the power it will have is 3. What I will do is add 2 multiplication signs, which means the number after this will go to its power. Now when I add 3, which means the integer 2 is in cubic form now. Now when I execute it, the answer is expected to 8. Here it is. The answer is 8. This is how integers work, and this is how numbers work. Now let's talk about error handling in the integers. So there are a lot of different type of errors that we often face during integers. The errors that are often included in the integers are basically while printing. Let's say we have an integer and variable, age, and I add it to 20. Now when I want to print a statement, let's say John's age is plus age. Now when I try to execute it, it will show an error. Let me tell you why. So in the previous video we studied about how to concatenate statements by using the punctuation mark plus, when it also can be done when we want to concatenate a statement with a variable. In this case we can't do that. Why? Because as you can see, I have created a string in the print statement, whereas the variable age stores an integer. Now what we will do is convert the variable age into string format to print in the output screen. This is because no matter what programming language it is, no different types of data types are compatible with each other when it comes to executing it. We have to either convert it in one form or another to execute it all together and keep it together. So let's convert it into a string. What we will do is use the keyword str and put the variable in the function bracket. So what does this mean? str is basically a short form of string, or I should say it is a method that is telling the variable age to convert itself into a string format. So what it will do is it will send a command to the variable age that says I want to execute you into the print statement along with the string, so convert yourself in string so I can print you. Now when I execute it, John's age is 20. The integer 20 is now a string, not an integer anymore. So you have to keep this in mind while executing a string with a variable that contains different type of data types like integer or float. It doesn't matter. So this is all about numbers and how to execute them. Next comes comments. Comments are basically a type of a statement, or I should say a type of function, or let's say a feature that are present in all programming languages, which allow a programmer or a developer to keep track of his programming. Let's say I have an addition that what I want to do is create a number one, a variable number 1, and store it 5, number 2 10, and add is equal to number 1 plus number 2. Now what I will do is print add. Let's just execute it just for a satisfaction or to see whether there's an error or not. There's no error. So comments, it is basically a kind of a feature to keep the track of what a developer has done. So what a programmer or developer will often do is add a line or a command which will tell him that what he has done in that particular command. So let's just add one comment. I have added 2 variables. So what does this hash mean? Hash is basically kind of a punctuation that tells a program that the words present after the punctuation hash are not to be included in the output screen, which means that all these words or characters I have added after the punctuation mark hash will not be executed in the executed and presented in the output screen. In easy languages, it is not part of the main program that we want to be executed. It is just kind of a note for us, quick note for us, which tells us what did we perform in this particular program. Now when I execute it, this statement won't show in the output screen. As you can see, the exact result that we wanted, which is addition of 2 different variables, is presented, whereas the comment is not presented. So this is how comments work. So I'll be moving forward to next topic in the next video. I will end this video here. I am creating these videos small by small and easy, and I'm trying to make as easier as possible. So we'll just take baby steps and move forward to basic to advanced slowly. So this is all about integers, numbers, floats, and comments, and error handling of numbers. So I have a task for you. Create a number, perform different operations on it, and create a variable which stores a number and perform different operations on it, and which includes the power of it. And the second task is to print those numbers in string, just like I did when I concatenated the string format with the age. So this is all from me in this video. See you all in the next video. If you have any kind of doubt or questions, feel free to contact me on any of my social handles. So see you all later. Thank you so much for being with me.